everybody?
What's
What's up, dude? It's good to be back, man.
It's good to be here.
It's good to be doing this again, man.
It's fun to say back to an audience that doesn't know that we left for a month.
An audience that doesn't exist.
They have no idea that we didn't record for a month and a half, and here we are.
Hey, dude, I've got 3 people that asked me about this podcast.
I've got more than 3. I've got my entire family and my girlfriend and a lot of other friends who we are, both friends with. They are asking me all the time when we're going to release episodes. So,
hey, you know what? It's a start, dude.
You know what? It's a start.
Well, we got an interesting topic tonight, but wanted to start it off. We're
going to start with a stand-up bit, I think.
I don't think we're going to do anything like that, but we're...
No, it's my stand-up bit. Matt doesn't want to hear it. I had a whole thing.
No, I've been hearing it.
Before the podcast started, I said, hey, I'm going to do my stand-up bit that I came up with the other day at the pool. I was drunk.
All right,
I was on the pool. No, I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to give the story of how I stood poolside while the rest of my family screamed at me to get in the pool, and I delivered a 30-minute stand-up bit with the tagline of, just get in.
You said that to your whole family for 30 minutes?
Oh, there was like 5 people in the pool, and they wanted to play star or like categories in the pool. And
I remember those games.
Right?
Dude.
Yeah. Wow. It was a fun family vacation. I just got back from the beach. But they were all yelling at me to get in. They're like, just get in. And so my whole stand-up bit was, just get in. And then I'll give some scenario of like why everything's fucked up. And like, they just want me to just get in. And that was, I was going to deliver the entire stand-up bit on the podcast, but Matt said no.
Don't put this evil on me, dude.
Okay, no, but you did say no. I decided you're right. It's probably not the best idea for a podcast, or if I just open up with a
just put
5-minute
put a tight bit. 5 together. I know a place we can get you an open mic slot.
Give me an open mic,
Let's do this thing.
We can do it. I'd be terrible.
I would honestly love to see that.
Yeah, it would be bad. It'd be bad. But we do have an interesting topic. What you said you wanted to start with something, Matt?
Well, I think we were talking about something interesting before, just because we were reminiscing on college. And because for those of y'all who don't know, me and Max know each other.
We went to college.
Went to college together, met in college, and been in love ever since. But wait, did I say that out loud?
No, not a day goes by that I don't think about Matt Boone.
Yeah, dude. It's that kind of a deal. But anyways, and we were just talking about how much, we miss college. But it's not that we miss college and, being in college per se. It's, what it's like to be in a college town where
community.
It's and you I realized, and other people have talked about this too, but it's why do people reminisce on those 4 years so much? And it's because those are the best 4 years of your life, because you're in this tight-knit community. All your friends are everywhere. You can usually walk wherever you're trying to go.
Right, yeah, that was a big one with that everything you need, everything that you require for your life. Obviously, if you want to leave town, you can go see other stuff, but everything you need and require is within walking distance most of the time when it comes to college. It's you have a cafeteria that is only, a block or 2 away from your dorm. You've got a dorm that is full of people like-minded like you, same age, all headed towards the same goal. And we had this discussion earlier. It was more or less on the same playing field. Everybody's kind of some people are rich, some people are poor, but when you come into college, everyone's kind of equal. Yeah, you might drive a better car than me, but we're all walking to class anyways. You might not have to have a job, but we're all going to end up at the same bars tonight anyways. So everybody seems to be on a little bit more of a level playing field.
Yeah, and just, you go to these parties, or you go downtown, there's music playing. You can have a band that people will actually give a shit about because they know you.
Because they know you, you're local. Oh, that's a guy that's in my class. I'm gonna go watch him just rip the guitar for 2.5 hours, and then we're gonna go downtown and take shots.
It's like a little. It's just like a little paradise for a lot of people. I know some people don't have a great time in college, but
yeah, no, I mean it's not for everybody.
And again, it's not about being in college. It's about why don't we always live like that? Why don't we live in such a way to where you're surrounded constantly by the people that you love and that love you, and you see everyone all the time. That's how we used to live for thousands of years, is you were in these tight-knit communities that looked after each other.
Well, the main issue, I think, is the 9 to 5, the 5-day work week, 9 to 5. Everyone has their jobs, but at the same time,
we work too much, dude.
I feel like it would work out the best to do it that way, because then everyone's off at 5 o'clock, and everyone gets to meet up and have drinks after work. But what ends up happening is you're working yourself to death, so you don't go out and see your friends. You don't live that walking distance away.
If you got to drive 30 minutes minutes
you
to go
might
see your buddy. You're
live
not
in a
gonna go.
neighborhood with other people near you, but they're not like your friends where you're just gonna walk over and say, hey, like, no, they have kids. They don't want you to walk over randomly. Like I used to walk over to Chuck's dorm and knock on the door and see if he was there. If he wasn't there, I'd walk down 2 doors to see my other buddy and knock on his door and see if he was there. Your neighbors don't want you doing that. They've got kids. They've got a family. They're like, leave me alone.
I don't even know my neighbors, dude.
Exactly. Neighbors don't know each other because, a dorm is a lot different than a neighborhood. 100%. And apartment complexes. I know a few of my neighbors, so I like that. I live in an apartment, and I have neighbors above, below, and across from me, above and below. And I know all of them. I know all of them, actually. But, and it's good. I enjoy it. But, if I lived in a house, I wouldn't know the people next to me.
Yeah, well, because, everyone moves around so much that it's like, what's the point? You also don't really depend on your neighbors for anything anymore like we used to.
Right.
We don't have community anymore. And I think a lot of that is what has to do with that has to do a lot with what's going on these days with just people, like, kind of some of the evils in the world is because we don't care about each other. We're not invested in each other's lives anymore, at least not the people that we're surrounded by constantly. You can still find that community, though. And I think, that's something that I think about more and more is I really want to end up in a place where I'm in a smaller community, but they're all my really good friends. That would just be ideal for me. And that's why I think being in a band and
oh yeah,
one of the reasons why I love the idea of going on tour and having that for a living, because it's I'm just hanging out with my best friends all the time and we're doing we're having fun, but we're having fun together. And there's this sense of camaraderie and shit that I feel like a lot of people just aren't getting from the normal day-to-day 9 to 5 life.
It kind of preserves that lifestyle a little bit for the people in the band. Shout out Nutri, check them out on Spotify. But it does kind of preserve that lifestyle of we are a community, we are tight knit, and even if you're nomadic like a band would be and moving from town to town, you still have that 5 to 10 person crew, however big you are and whoever you're working with, moving and living as a unit. But I mean, that's one example of how to preserve it, but there are other communities out there. I mean, there's
there's a way to do it.
Communes, there's literally those, but that's not the same as what I'm saying. I want to live in a society where it's. I wish I was closer to my neighbors. I wish that we did have a society that still had neighborhood gatherings. I feel like those don't happen anymore. When I was growing up in Ailey, the small town that I grew up in Georgia, we would have at least once a year, just it was called town gathering or something, where there was this huge, not huge, but about a football-sized field behind one of the main banks that was in the middle of the town, and we would just set up tons of picnic tables, and everyone would bring food, and we'd play games. All the kids would just play games, and people would hang out. And that happened every summer, at least once a year, sometimes twice a year. We'd do a fall thing and a summer thing, and it was whoa, I know all my neighbors. And it's because I come from a very small town that kind of preserved those ideals for a little bit longer than what I feel like most of America has. Right. And those things don't happen anymore, man. I grew up with those twice a year, a fall gathering and a summer gathering.
Yeah, we need to bring that back.
And it doesn't happen, and it hasn't happened since I was 12. They were just no, there's not going to be one this year, and I'm what? I don't get to see all of those neighbors.
Was it because of COVID or?
Dude, it was 2012.
Shit.
No, I was 12. I was probably 2004, 2005. They just were nah, we're just not doing it anymore.
Wow. Yeah. It's a sad thing when because people just get older and they move away.
And I'm sure there was some politics to it where they were some inner arguing with the 5 town leaders of my 500 populated town. So I'm sure there's some kind of politics where we're not going to do this year.
Politics.
There's always politics. I was too young to understand.
There's always politics and there's always pedophiles,
the community fell
right?
apart. I was not the community didn't fall apart. Everybody still knew each other. Everybody still loved each other, but we didn't have that gathering where we all got to see each other and meet again, where it's oh, I forgot you lived in my neighborhood. Hi, it's good to see you again. So I don't know. That's one of those things that I don't see happening anywhere, ever. So
yeah. Well, here's to the days of gone by. The days have
gone by.
The days have gone by.
Clink it.
Clinker.
Nice. Tonight we're drinking
We're still having
Michelob
fun.
Ultra organic seltzers. Mine's a peach pear.
Well, I don't know why you keep
Matt's is a
plugging.
spicy pineapple. I'm getting the ad leads, dude. I'm doing ad leads.
I'm sure Michelob is just dying to sponsor this
by
podcast.
chance of
This
our
radical fucking
potential
podcast.
I don't know, potential thousands upon thousands of listeners, potential. If anybody who works for Mick Ultra hears this and they're in the marketing and they want to support us, shoot us a
We've got 3
DM on
fans.
Instagram. Potential, limitless.
The key word is potential.
The key word is
I'm
potential,
having a good
Matt.
time. I hope everyone else is having a good time. Stick with your friends.
Stick with your friends. Here's another thing:
Go
is
make some friends if you don't have any.
let your friends go by the wayside. I've
Yeah,
done that for a
it's
lot of people,
important.
and it feels bad because like I had so many friends in college. We talked about this earlier. It's like we knew so many people that I haven't talked to in 5 years.
Yeah.
I do like that. I do have my really close knit group of friends from college, and
It's hard to keep up with everybody.
It is hard. We all have our own lives, but we're in a group chat, and I talk to them at least every other day, if not daily. So it is good to kind of have that tight knit group. And if you're not in one, go make one. Go meet some people. Go to a library. Go to a bar. Go to whatever suits you. Make a friend. Anyways, we're not ending it. We're only starting here. Nice, Matt.
was
9
the
out of
best one yet.
10. That was fucking good. Dang, now you make me want to burp.
Go for it, dude. It feels great.
Nah, I don't have to burp.
So we have a
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one. This is kind of we're gonna do a generic talk about on this guy, right?
I mean, I think it's something that's just cool to.
You're gonna pull some facts up on the big screen there.
It's kind of really depressing to think about, actually, given where things are at. But
Well, no,
I think it's something
but at
people
the same
should be
time,
aware
it's
of.
like enlightening and encouraging. The fact that I'm gonna say this now, that things may look bad, but we can tell with a pattern that if we work hard enough and we look towards the light and work towards it, things will get better and things will become better for future generations because of it. And then later things will get worse again. But let's get into it a little bit more before I
Yeah.
kind of spill the beans.
I really had a better segue, but I forgot it. But before we do, can
segues. I saw a guy fall off a Segway once.
Man,
We were
at
at the Biltmore in Asheville, or outside
Biltmore
of
is
Asheville.
cool.
It was great. The Biltmore was great, and my family, we were driving out. We had already done the tour. The Biltmore is amazing. It's huge. We were driving by, and we were passing this family. They had gotten Segways to tour the grounds outside of the Biltmore, and there was this huge fucking puddle, and huge mud puddle, and 4 of the family went around on the grass to just outskirt it. The dad, I'm pretty sure it was the dad, probably in his 30s or 40s, tries to ram his fucking Segway, just speed through the puddle, face plants into the water, the muddy water. Oh, it was great. My family and I cracked up. It was me, my sisters, my dad, and we were just dying laughing at this
face
guy on a
plants on the
Segway.
concrete, and he's fucking writhing in pain. Y'all are
Oh
just
no,
laughing
dude!
at
He
him.
fell into a mud puddle. He jumped up immediately and was covered in water, and we were cracking up. He didn't get
my
hurt. As
God.
far as I know, he was fine. He got on the Segway and rode off, embarrassed.
Yeah.
But hey, Segway, we're talking about the turnings.
Before we talk about the turnings of eternity, can I hit that yawn special pin?
Yeah,
there?
Yawn Stranger. Hit my yawn pin.
Yawn stranger.
Yawn
dude.
Stranger. Who's Yawn Stranger again?
It used to be me and Jesse.
Oh my God, it was you. I thought
Ryan.
it was Peyton Collier or somebody. You're Yawn Stranger.
I'm yawn stranger, dude.
You're Yawn Stranger.
But I'm not anymore, though. I got kicked out.
So don't look up Yawn Stranger on Spotify.
No,
Do
no.
look up Nutri on Spotify.
No, I love them, dude. I listen
Oh wait,
to them.
are they still a band?
Yeah, I think they
Oh,
still
okay,
play.
dope. Okay, no, still go look them up. Look up Nutri first. But then look up Yawn Stranger.
I got real busy and just wasn't able to practice as much, and so they kind of decided to move on
I
without me,
thought-
which I totally understand. There's no
I
hard
thought that
feelings.
was an experimental band that had 2-month run, Little Mia, that was together for a few months and then just
Well,
never
Little
did
Mia is just new.
I knew that, but I felt like yeah, it's one of those things. It's oh, it's just a project. When now we renamed it to Family and Friends or something, which was another band, totally different.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, you just got to get a little hit out of that. The CBD pin.
It's CBD.
No, it's THC, dude. I was doing it for the podcast.
Shit.
I was doing it for the podcast. We
Oh
are.
god, that was a hit.
Oh, I guess technically, weed is decriminalized in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Damn, y'all.
We're getting fucking blasted.
We're getting blasted tonight.
All right, so what we're talking about is the fourth turning, and essentially what it is this Strauss-Howe generational theory, which says that history moves, and history of our country.
History is a fractal of itself. Sorry, we'll slow it down. Fractals is another theory.
But no, so basically history moves in these 80-year cycles.
Like
within
60 to 80-year cycles.
Each country, basically, or I guess each like empire, or
nation,
civilization,
society.
So they're in these 20-year increments, 420-year increments, 420.
Oh,
is that where 420 comes? Oh,
stoners probably came up with this idea.
Fuck, dude.
No, so yeah, it is basically segments of time, like 60 to 85, something like that, years, broken into 4 segments from there of what it is. It's
20 years.
20 years, like, yeah, it's not like 20 years. There is a
generation, essentially.
Yes, exactly. Every generation brings a new, I guess, aura or a new, I guess, meaning to, I guess, their lives and to like so the history. So what are the four things?
So it starts on a high. So there'll be a 20-year high. Then there's an awakening period for 20 years. Then there's an unraveling period for 20 years. And then...
a crisis or something?
There's a crisis theory. Okay. There's a crisis period
for
20 years.
Let's... before we start to break down all of like the 4 things or whatever, one thing, like when I was like reading into this, I was like, okay, cool. Like this is something that's happened for the last 80 years or like, like not 80 years, but like, 100, 200 years or something. Like there's been these like 2 cycles. This has been happening for centuries, and like they kind of lay it out, and it's like the history goes a little bit kind of like deeper. It was like back then it kind of took slower, like it was like 30 to 40 years for each turning, but things are kind of progressing more rapidly, so the turnings are becoming like closer and closer, it feels like. I wish they had gone further back too and said like, and here's what happened, because essentially what they said is that 80 years ago, so right now we're in a crisis period, as anyone didn't know, like with COVID and shit. Not just COVID.
I mean, yeah, not just COVID, but it's like the shit that's been going on. Clearly, like we're kind of seems like we're heading towards. Everyone's feeling it that we're heading towards some sort of a like some sort of a crisis period. That's where we are right now. 80 in these 80-year cycles. 80 years before now was the end of World War II, or was World War II essentially. World War II had just started 80 years from now. 80 years ago. 80 years before that was the Civil War. 80 years before that was
there's
the Revolutionary
always a big war. It's a big war every freaking 80 years.
Yeah, I don't think it necessarily like has to be a war, but it's like a big world event. But it has been for the last
like 3 turns.
It's usually a war.
Quadrants or whatever the fuck
which is scary, dude. That's scary to think about. So,
but we've been in a war. We're still in a war right now.
I mean, wars happen all the time. What they're referring to is like a global conflict. Yeah, like like a big
right. No. Okay,
world
that makes sense.
Changing.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Like World War II changed the world.
So, these have been happening for a long time. Let's break it down. So the first one is a high period was a grace period. What was it?
So the high period is what it sounds like. Like things are, the getting is good. Like people
stoned as fuck.
Yeah. So and again, like it doesn't apply to everyone, but it's like the country as a whole.
Right. Economy is good.
Society
was good. Is together. So what it was not. It was conformality, or was like, or when you conform and everybody's like kind of like the same, like like-mindedness.
It was very conformist because they were like things are working.
Everybody's happy, so
there's no reason.
Why change?
Yeah, there's no reason.
Why would we deviate if we're all happy and we're all making money and the society is progressing, the economy is progressing, everybody's kind of doing well. So why should we deviate from this? The next, and I mean, what are examples like? So that was after the war.
So after World War II, you had
that was like the baby boomer area, right? Or
boomers. The baby boomers were born after World War II.
The economy was absolutely busting, dude.
We had a good economy. We were building things, manufacturing things.
Oh yeah, dude. We had that was like he was talking about like all like the hot rod cars were a big thing. Like girls in bikinis, the beach age, the summer of love, all that shit.
People were overall like optimistic and sort of proud to be, Americans. Yeah. Like they were happy. Like,
amen.
And also what I thought was really interesting.
What somebody said was the MAGA days, basically what they.
That's what they're referring to, and so of course, like,
Yeah. Okay. Do you guys want to put the tax
everybody.
rates? Okay, we're not going to get into it. Never mind. I'm not. All right. Continue.
Let's not let
We're not going to break it down that far.
But
tax rates are pretty high.
I think one of the biggest reasons it was a high that stood out to me though was that the income seemed a lot more tipped towards balance. Where
Right.
like you could work
Very
at a gas
balanced.
station, or you could be like,
those are the words. You could do any job. Basically, you'd be
And
a
you could
gardener.
afford a house.
You could afford a house. Like you wouldn't be rich, but middle class was easy to attain as long as you worked hard. That's why people are still like, if you just work hard, if you just put your head down and work hard, like I did, like my grandfather did, you can end up buying a house and a Corvette. Well, yeah. So things aren't like that right now, but. Yes.
No. Well, see, that's what makes it a high is that you were like, and I think that's like, I don't see a problem with that, dude. Like people like look at that like that's like not a right that you have. I'm like, look, if you're working 40 hours a week, you should at least be able to afford
to
the
buy
bare
a
necessities,
house.
dude.
I mean, even if it's a shitty fucking rundown house, you should at least be able to afford a house.
You're contributing to society. Like,
this is another conversation for another day, but like the entire housing market and the experiment that is credit scores is really making the poor be more poor and the rich get more rich.
yeah, and I mean inflation too is basically
inflation is the
a hidden
biggest
tax on
fucking
people.
hidden. Oh my gosh, it is one of the biggest things fucking up people. And like I've had this conversation where they're like, "Oh, you're making $15 an hour," and I'm like, "Yeah, but that's technically minimum wage. If you show the rate of inflation versus the rate of wages, I'm making about minimum wage." Like,
Yeah.
oh, but you're not. But like, oh, but I am.
Dude, I mean, and people, I think the median income, we should probably fact check this. Can you look this up real quick? What is the median income of people in like, let's do Atlanta, because that's where we're at. Like, what is the median income in Atlanta?
I'm gonna say it's about 56. What do you think?
I thought it was lower. I thought it was in like the 30s or 40s.
Yeah, actually, you might. 34. 34 too.
$34,000 in Atlanta.
No, that makes yeah, you're right. That makes a lot of sense.
Dude, you can't
There's a shit
fucking
ton of
live
people in
for
Atlanta.
30 grand in Atlanta.
Hell no.
Dude, like that.
Hell no.
That is abysmal. Like that's like you can't do anything. You can't buy anything like so buying a home and owning a piece of property is like one of the only ways that we have to have equity and have shit that like
Right.
has stored value and
That's
shit. There's no way you can do that at
Fucking
30
impossible in Atlanta if
No,
you're not
no way.
making at least, I mean, to buy a house in Atlanta, you probably have to be making at least like 250 to 300 a year minimum.
Dude, honestly, just to live comfortably and without financial worry in
To rent a house a
Atlanta
lot
is
less,
at
obviously.
least, I would say it's at least 70K at minimum, probably more.
Yeah.
70K.
If you're living by yourself.
It's 70K you could survive, but like 100K is really where you'd want to be to like
To start saving money.
to start being able to save money and have invest in a future.
Yeah.
And then also like have enough savings to be like, okay, if I lose my job tomorrow, I can
I have 2 or
last
3
till
months.
the next time. Yeah.
Right. Or 6 months. I don't know how long you want to survive without the job, but
Inflation is a bitch. Dude.
so kind of inflation's a bitch. So let's get back to it. We're still on the high. We're on the high, dude. We're riding the high. It's 420, bro. It's 420.
That's funny.
So
then
the high
comes the awakening.
yes, after high, phase 2, at the second 20-year turning or whatever. Phase 2, the awakening.
That's where the awakening happens, and honestly, like that makes so much sense.
Well,
because
no. Wait, what's the fucking awakening? What exactly does that mean?
The awakening is when you have more artists.
The Renaissance.
Yeah, well, you have more like protests and shit. You have a little like shit starting to get. What's essentially happening in my mind is that, yeah, the highs were really good, but it wasn't good for everybody. And then those people stand up and are like, yo.
I thought the protests were in the next one, the unraveling.
No, so the awakening would be the high point is like the 50s to the early 60s. The awakening is like the 60s through the 70s, which is like the Vietnam War and the protests and like LSD comes about and there's like kind of like things in like entertainment get a little bit darker. You know what I mean? Like it gets a little grittier. Then there is the unraveling.
So I want to like let's go a little bit more into the awakening though. Like what were the things that's kind of like that were I don't
that
know.
would be
what
like the
makes
Beatles.
it? So it's a time where people are, like you said, we're realizing that like, hey, things were good, but the South is still segregated. And this time, the schools, my mom remembers going to a high school and the first time a black girl was allowed in their high school. She remembers that.
That's the
my
biggest
mom's.
thing.
Be like, I was in high school when they literally allowed the first black girl. She remembers who it was that walked into their high school, and I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So the
that's
South was segregated. So those were things that like people are starting to realize that like things are really good for
all is not well.
Things are good for a lot of people. Things are going really good, but it's not great for everyone. And I think we need to start looking into it. And that leads into
inflation and shit continues to increase, which I think, dude, honestly, inflation is like one of the common threads to all of this. But anyways, so the awakening is
because inflation don't stop.
So think about like the Beatles versus
The Rolling Stones.
All right, hold on. Think about "Gimme Shelter," the song "Gimme Shelter."
Hell yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. Think about that
roll.
versus Mr. Sandman. Think about the contents of those. So like, Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream.
I was thinking of the Metallica song.
No, it's
Okay.
Enter Sandman. Mr. Sandman is like
yes, yeah, Mr. Sandman. Okay, yeah,
classic.
Mr. Okay, yeah,
One of the classic 50s songs.
Okay,
It's like bright.
Whoa.
It's happy. It's like Mr.
Dude,
Sandman.
the fucking saddest song from that.
Well, hold
era.
on. I'm trying to get a thought out.
Continue. Go
So
ahead.
you have Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. It's like very nice and the nice harmonies, and then "Gimme Shelter." It's fucking angry. It's raw. It's about the fucking like it's basically that song is a protest song about everything that's going on at that point in time, like specifically around Race 2. And like they're asked, like she's like, "Give me shelter," and she even said in a documentary, she was like, "That was like, give me shelter from all the racist shit. Give me shelter from the persecution I'm experiencing and stuff."
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like that type of shit is happening during the awakening period.
Okay, cool.
Then we move into the 80s and the 90s, which is the
Revolt. What was it?
it's the
The Unsettling.
So it's 20 years. So it's like 84 to 2008 or something.
2005.
Like,
No, it's 2005. I remember it being in that.
no, it was 2008
No,
because
no,
it
no.
ended with the financial crisis.
No, I think it was 2004. I'm pretty sure it said something around there.
Look it up.
You look it up. Fact checked it.
You fact check it, dude.
I'm pretty sure it was 2005.
I'm pretty sure it was 2008. Dude.
I'm pretty sure the 2008 was a notable part inside of it, but I'm pretty sure the year itself that he.
How could it be?
What we're talking about
inside
is
of it?
specifically a guy in a book he wrote, and he was talking about this one ended in 2004, yada yada. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Oh, he's playing the whole damn TikTok on it now.
Okay, so it says the high is 1865 to 1886. The awakening was 1886 to 1908. Oh wait, sorry, I'm before.
Yeah, what? You're in the 1800s, Brody. Let's go to the 1900s, where you're going to be proven wrong, and I will always remain right. That's the theme of this podcast.
The unraveling is 1984 to 2008.
Fuck.
Well, because that's the financial crisis.
Right, but I thought there was some bullshit going down before then.
Well, yeah, there was. I'm saying it's 84 to 2008. 2005 was part of that group.
Liar ass bullshit.
What are
This
you
guy's
talking
wrong.
about?
This guy's wrong. I'm gonna put a study out that says he's wrong. It's 2004. Anyways, so yeah. So what is the
it's all
unraveling? It's the
An
unraveling.
approximation. The unraveling.
The unraveling. So what happens in the unraveling? What is that all about?
The unraveling is when it really kind of starts to come to a head where people are
These are the riots. I thought these are like
suffering more.
because this is like you have the civil rights like riots, but then you have like the Rodney King riots where shit gets like real out of hand.
that's part of that would be part of the unraveling.
Yeah.
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 So you have the bad riots.
It began with a freaking who was it? Oh, good old Reagan.
Yeah, it started
Good
with
old
Reagan
Reagan.
getting reelected.
Hell yeah! Welcome in, buddy. Reaganomics.
Yeah, again, inflation.
Inflation. Let's go.
And like people making the wealth
I'll
gap
drink to that, bro.
increasing. The
I'll
wealth
drink to
gap
that.
is increasing and increasing and increasing. And so like you have, more again, heavier music, more depressing. The grunge movement happened. Like fucking Nirvana and Soundgarden.
Should we be happy that the turnings are happening because they're creating some great music?
I think that's a good point. Is that people continue to be like, except we go through it, dude, and we it's just us reacting to it, and people can cope with shit, and we do extraordinary things, dude.
Dope.
We always are able to make something.
True, but,
out of
but
anything.
also great music came from the high, and great music came from the revolt, or what was it called? The returning.
Yeah. Great music is great music.
Great music is great music.
It's just a reflection of what's going on.
That is very true. Yeah.
At the time.
When I look back at it, grunge music kind of sucked.
No, dude. What? Whoa, let me stop
I'm
you right
joking.
there.
Dude, I'm fucking joking. All right.
It's not my favorite music.
It's not
but
my
it's
favorite
good.
either, but when I was growing up, it was my favorite.
Yeah, same. And it definitely like is important to who like what I am now, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm not talking shit. I was joking, dude.
Also, we weren't alive in grunge, thankfully, or else we'd be old as fuck.
Oh, but I grew up on it. I grew up because that's what everybody who was around me was playing, who was older than me. But
I kind of try to listen to like all of it, but I was very on like some surfy type shit, not necessarily surf.
Beach Boys, dude.
No.
I'll blast the Beach Boys any day.
No, it's more. I was more into like the like California
Dale?
rock of like the early like the late
Red Hot
90s,
Chili
early
Peppers?
2000. Yeah, like Chili Peppers, Incubus.
Sublime.
Oh, I fucking love Sublime.
I know you did.
311.
311. I remember how much you loved that band.
I did, dude. I really like was into that type of shit.
When I met you, I think 311 you said was your favorite band, and I think I rolled my eyes
Really?
at you. I don't
Did
know,
I
maybe
say
not.
that?
I think it was
feel
more
like
of a
by the time I
maybe
was in
not,
college, it was
maybe
different.
not like I asked you what your favorite song was, but you were like, "Hey, let me take the aux or something," and you put on 311, and I was like, "Oh, oh."
Now that I could see myself.
I did. I like 311 too, but I know I'm shitting on you, but at the same time, I like 311. So
Yeah, again, not something I listen to every day anymore. I like
Yeah.
my shit changes,
yeah,
but I appreciate all of it.
Oh, I appreciate all music, and 311 is great. Nobody should talk
Yeah,
311.
I love 311.
I do too, but it's like one of those for people who like were into that kind of music, it's almost like Nickelback. Like when somebody puts on Nickelback, like oh, and then like you listen to all like Sublime and all that shit, and they put on 311, it's like oh. But I like they're good. That's good music. I'm not gonna say it's bad. I'm shitting on you. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to. You're not shitting on me. I don't give a shit. So I'm not in 311. Like I don't give a fuck.
I know you don't.
But anyway, so the unraveling period, which 311, Sublime, and like look at Sublime's music, dude. It's about drugs.
Dude, it's about 14-year-old girls.
It's about okay.
What? Isn't that there's a song?
That I don't remember them writing a song about a 14
No. It was like
You're talking about date rape?
It was only 17. It's the wrong
date
way.
rape. Yeah. Well, they're singing about just a situation that they heard about. Like they're not talking about them doing it.
Yeah, fucking clearly, dude. I'm not saying they're goddamn. You think I'm doing that?
But it's a good point too, because it's like we're starting to become more. We're writing songs about fucking really, really dark shit because dark shit's going on. Like there's a lot of crime.
That's all I was saying.
There's the crime bill. There's like, I mean, again, inflation, wealth inequality happening. 9/11 happens.
Yeah, freaking Bush didn't. Maybe they don't.
The Bush years, dude. The wall. Okay.
The Clinton years, the Bush years, the Clinton. No, the Bush years, the Clinton years, the Bush years.
Whether 9/11 was an inside job, it still happened. Like
Bro,
it's fucking,
I don't know if he did it or not, but he definitely let it happen.
something else went on that day for sure.
Somebody
Than what
said,
we're
"Hey,
told.
we're not going to push this in front of the fucking desk, and we're just going to let it happen so that we have another crisis on our hand."
Dude, there's weird shit. They do that all the time, and we've caught them doing it with the Bay of Pigs and shit, and the Gulf of Tonkin. Like we know for a fact that they've done it.
We know they do these false flag operations where they fucking set the shit. Oh, dude, don't get me started on the.
The only ones we know. Here's the scary thought: the only ones we know of for sure are the ones that failed. But what about the ones that fucking succeeded? You know what I mean? Like, because you can look up documents about the Bay of Pigs, and you can look up documents about all this shit because it was a failure and it got out. But the ones that were successful, we'll never fucking have any proof of. Like,
maybe
they'll never
somebody on their
admit it.
deathbed will say like something to the nurse, and she'll be like, "Oh, good story. Now go to sleep, Grandpa."
That shit's terrifying, dude.
Just fucking terrifying.
So yeah, and like the Kennedy assassination too, which is the end of the awakening period. And that's what sparks the fucking unraveling, is like the Kennedy assassination.
What year was the Kennedy assassination?
64.
I thought the unraveling started in 84.
No, sorry. That was the awakening. Starts the Kennedy assassination.
So it started the awakening. Okay, yes. You're right. That did start the awakening kind of time because we were like, oh, it's not all hunky dory. Shit's kind of fucked.
Yeah, well, it shocked the nation.
Then Reagan was shocked the nation into that kind of
because people in the 50s were very like trusting of the government. I feel like more so than now.
Yeah,
they were
the
like, our
majority.
government says we got to do it. We got to do it. They just came out of World War II, where they were like, Yeah, we just fought a war, and the government like went and like saved the world basically, and like America's number one. They were very gung ho on America after that because we felt like we accomplished something really good.
Yeah.
By like going in and winning the war or ending the war, basically. Everyone won the war, but it's that gets taken apart when you see Kennedy get killed on TV.
Right. And it all comes crumbling down. It's like, oh, maybe we're not all together. Maybe we're not all great. Maybe like some things here aren't working. Something's got to change.
Yeah. Dude, they witnessed.
But
I just
obviously,
thought about
some people did see that, which is why, maybe not seeing it in the right way, but which is why the president got assassinated. It was like, oh, things aren't working for some of us, so it's not the right way to do it. But people had in their mind like things aren't working.
I think the military
unraveling is going to start, or awakening is going to start.
No, dude, the military-industrial complex starts ramping up throughout all this too, because
very true.
Kennedy was by all accounts like not for the fucking imperialist type agenda.
There were a lot of people who wanted Kennedy dead.
Yeah.
Not just the or the
I mean, he sought an end to the Cuban Missile Crisis
like
and shit.
The gangsters, dude. He was putting an end to like the gangster era too.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and the Cubans hated him. A lot of people fucking wanted Kennedy dead, man. It's crazy. We can go into that. No,
most people liked him.
Yeah, he was a very well-liked president.
So I remember my mom has like magazines and like a Kennedy coin saved somewhere, a magazine from the day that he was assassinated from like the 60s, wild. And like has all this shit because she's wild. Like, we remember this happening and stuff. It was like a major historical.
No,
what are we gonna have? That made me think of something funny. Like when we're like 50 and we've got like a kid, and we just coin. Like we have like a fucking a little box of like memorabilia somewhere from like our life and stuff, and we pull it out and it's like a mask. Oh. I remember the pandemic, son.
Oh, son.
Dude, I saw a hilarious TikTok about that. Like,
oh god, we're doing TikToks.
This guy, it was just funny.
Describe
it was like,
the TikTok you saw on our podcast.
I probably shouldn't do, but it was just funny. It was about like being old and then like COVID coming back, and like your kid's like, says here in the news, Dad, that COVID-19 is back on the rise. You remember live when during the first pandemic, and it shows him, he just like turns and like
flashback
starts like pulling masks like out of his pocket and shit. Like,
great, fucking love it. That's part of our.
We gotta go get toilet paper.
Oh man, yeah. Stock up on the hand sand.
Anyways,
so we're talking about the unraveling. No, what is this? Yes, the unraveling. At this point, we're up into the 2008. Fucking fine, you win. 2008. We this point goes up to 2008. So what are the things that are happening here? We have.
Starts with the financial crisis of 08.
No. It ends with the financial crisis of 08. I'm talking about
No, it's still it ends at 2008.
Yeah, it ends in 2008.
Happens.
Yes, but it
ends on January 1st, 2008. The one
financial crisis.
One era ends and the other one begins.
Okay, gotcha. So that's
what it's saying.
All right, so what is happening? The thing. So we've got like the Cold War. Is that part of this?
No, the Cold War would have been
in the Awakening.
Actually, it was in the high point, technically.
Really?
The high point through the Awakening.
Okay, gotcha. What about the Cuban Missile Crisis? Is that in the Unraveling?
Actually, that's in the Awakening.
What? The Cuban Missile Crisis in the Awakening?
Yeah.
I guess that's the Cold War.
Kennedy was dude, the Cold War was long as fuck.
That's true, yeah.
The Cold War lasted till like 89. My sister was born and it was still the Cold War. Technically, I think 89 is when the wall came down.
I always thought the Cuban Missile Crisis was like later, like late 70s. But yeah, it's like early 60s, isn't it?
Yeah. It was while Kennedy was president. He was shot.
I'm really bad with my American history too. Apparently,
I've always been interested in it. I'm not an expert by any means, but
how about this? What about like Columbine?
That would be in the.
Yeah, that's the unraveling
period.
Yeah, I'm trying to come up with things like in the unraveling, like Columbine, where there was the Satanic Panic. No, I'm just kidding. That happened throughout all that shit. What were some other things? We have the grunge music. Yeah, we went over the music, but what were some of like the really bad things that were happening? And so it was like 84 through Princess Diana.
Yeah, and
that's just some person that nobody gives a fuck.
Dude, fuck the royal family.
Yeah, honestly, fuck the royal family. That's probably not okay, but here's the thing. She was like apparently, and I don't really know much about it, but people say like she was the one that was going to try and like not expose the royal family, but like bring them more into the public life and like kind of not distill, but I don't know, make it so that the royals were pretty much just regular people. She was just trying to go out and live a life and show that royals weren't better than everybody, and she got killed because of it.
Wow.
So, yeah, who knows?
Well, yeah, that's part of it too.
Yeah, the war in Iraq, Desert Storm, all that bullshit.
Yeah, Desert Storm is happening. 9/11 was probably one of the biggest,
9/11
like,
was
other than
huge.
Reagan.
Yeah.
Like Reagan getting reelected all the way through 9/11.
And
Then into the financial crisis and like all the shit leading up to the financial crisis.
So that is the
Including the
unraveling.
war
So
on
that's all we
Iraq.
know. That's also our tiny little punitive, born in the middle 90s brains know about these time periods.
Yeah.
But now we move into our time.
Oh, you know what else is interesting
What's that?
that I thought about?
I don't know. What's
Serial killers are a recent thing.
that? Yes. Yes.
I mean, serial
No. Yeah, okay.
random killers.
The
so many
the
of them.
documentation of serial killers.
Yeah, I mean, fair
Because
enough.
back in the day, we didn't know. Maybe there was somebody doing that. But so I've done a lot of research on this because, like, yes, that's the thing. It'll be like, oh, serial killers are like a new phenomenon. But it's like, no, the idea of a serial killer is a new phenomenon.
What's happened is there's more like instances of
But they are
people who
more-
kill at random and serial killers and stuff, and it's like disproportionate to there being more people. I'm pretty sure.
Right. No, the fact that there are more so, but yes, the
And think about, like, the
rate
mass
of their
shootings.
being serial killers has gone up. They've always been around, but the rate of them being around has gone
Dude,
up. So,
people
yes.
didn't used to. We've had guns forever, and we've been in school forever, but no one has like gone and shot up a fucking school.
Oh, you're telling me that you look through our history and our past, and no kid ever stabbed anybody else and stabbed three other kids.
That's different than bringing a fucking gun to school and killing everyone indiscriminately.
Yeah, I agree with that. But like, I mean, primitively in the day when guns weren't as prevalent and like no teenage kid could walk out and buy a gun.
Man. It wasn't like that, dude. It was like it's a thing that has happened during the unraveling period.
Yo, I agree. Yes,
Not in other periods, dude. It didn't happen in the 50s. People had more guns that didn't know it. Like they knew less about gun safety, but everyone had guns in the 50s.
But I don't. I mean, maybe I don't know. I wasn't alive back then. I don't know what it like. If a fucking
It's a recent
if a fucking
phenomenon,
17-year-old kid walks into a Walmart and wants to buy a shotgun, you can. I'm pretty sure.
What I'm saying to you
They
is,
didn't have that back then. You couldn't just walk down to a
Yes,
store
you
and
could.
buy a gun.
yes, you could. People hunted more back then than they do now. People had fucking guns, dude.
Yeah, I'm not saying they didn't have guns, but like just the overwhelming, especially like I said, they didn't have Walmarts where you just walk. You have to go to a specific gun store, and the guy, I don't know, man. I didn't live back then. I don't know what the fuck things were like. I'm not
telling
gonna
you,
talk on it. I'm not
saying-
gonna talk on things I don't know.
What
about.
do you mean? That's all we've been doing this
I
entire
know
podcast.
we're talking about things I don't, but I just don't think it was the same as every.
So you're saying that school shooters
Guns
and
weren't-
has
Guns
always
weren't on
happened?
the streets as much, and I think obviously we need to have some gun laws.
Dude, we have had guns and people have had
But
guns for a
I'm
long
definitely
time in this country. I'm
2A
talking about
supporter.
the crazy.
I'm a liberal 2A supporter. I'll say it right now.
I'm not talking about banning guns. What I'm saying is in relation to the unraveling and the shit that we're talking about, where as a whole things start to get darker. I'm saying the school shootings.
Yes,
ramps up.
I'm not saying. But you also said the serial killers are a new thing, and
They
my
are.
only point was that they've been around, but you're right. They're more prevalent now.
Yeah,
Let's
and
continue with that point.
That's part of what's happening. Is like
Yes,
that is
right,
a
you're right.
symptom of society breaking down over
You're right.
time. is
Now,
what I'm
have
saying.
serial killings gone up since like the 80s and 90s, or they gone down?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a statistic that.
I think I saw a statistic that at this point you can have anywhere from like 20 to 35 active serial killers that haven't been like caught yet at this point in time in any city that you're in. It's like something like that, dude. And in fact, there's a serial killer in Atlanta that I just heard about.
Yeah, dude, Piedmont Park. My girlfriend works right off the park, and she's scared to go to work. I literally told her, when you pull up for work in the morning, she works in like a huge office building. It's I'm not gonna tell you what kind of work she does, but it's a big office building, and they have security guards. And I told her, when you pull up in the morning, call the security guard. They have multiple, and be like, "Hey, I don't feel comfortable. There's somebody standing out here. Can you come to my car and walk me inside?" I mean, it's a 100-foot walk, but
That's
she's scared to get out of her car. And I'm like, do that. And she goes, I guess, but I don't want to like disturb them. I'm like, baby, that's their job.
Yeah.
Go tell the security dog to secure you.
But what if it's a security guard?
Oh shit, dude. Don't call security. Baby, don't call security.
That's what's scary about serial killers. They could literally be anybody, even the person you think is there to help you. Like, that shit's fucking creepy, man.
What if I was a serial killer?
You could have just been fucking planning this entire time, dude. Like,
I'm just sitting here, like, we're doing this podcast, but I'm really just trying to get information.
Everything's an elaborate. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm just going to murder you and be like, oh, he was hiking. Well, he loved to hike in Cloud Canyon every Tuesday. He just disappeared.
I think, no, it's honestly, that shit scares me more than anything like paranormal or like the cryptid people with their fucking like, oh, there's Bigfoot or there's a Wendigo in the woods. Like, none of that shit scares me as much as like people. Like,
dude, so we literally, this is the same conversation we had earlier. It's funny because I was talking about the girl that lived in those people's attic. I like literally. So the story was, I don't know, it was a year or two ago, but it was huge. Like, just Google it. But there was a girl or somebody, a family basically, that was like hearing things and things were going missing in their house. And so they were like, oh fuck it, we're gonna put up a security camera. And they put it up like in the kitchen or something, or like facing the kitchen. And then at like 3 o'clock at night, and this is, probably a fairly good sized house, middle class family, nothing huge, but like in the middle of the night, you see this woman like opens the fucking door from the attic, crawls down from the attic, goes in the kitchen, grabs food or something, walks around and then goes back up into the attic. And apparently there was somebody living in this fucking attic for, I don't know, months, years, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying. You could have somebody up in your attic and like, obviously she wasn't trying to kill anybody, she just wanted to live, but like that could be a serial killer.
No, for sure, and I think
it's
too,
horrifying.
Like, we have
even
the
if she was
homeless
nice,
problem, dude. Not that I'm insinuating in any way that homeless people by default are bad.
No,
but it's like there are more homeless people, and like things are getting tougher, man. And that's what I mean by like the inflation. You can track it throughout all of this. It gets like in the wealth gap. Those things keep increasing under everything, and I feel like that is one of the root causes of why shit unravels and gets fucking weird throughout time.
I agree.
When people are getting like, basically we're getting extorted out of our own fucking money through all these like scams and backhanded deals and this, that, and the third. The wealth gap is increasing, dude. And it's not even like the wealth are getting really, really wealthy and we're getting like not as wealthy as fast. It's no, we're getting poorer and more people are not able to afford to live while they get richer and richer.
Is getting poorer and fucking poor by the year. The middle class is becoming the lower class while the upper middle class is becoming the middle class is what's happening.
Yeah, but the billionaires and the people at the top are getting richer than they've ever been.
Oh yeah, it's just like exponential. It's fucking
dude. If someone had stolen your. If you had like a box of cookies in your room and we were roommates and like you kept seeing your cookies disappear while meanwhile you keep looking at my room and my cookies keep fucking, I have another jar that's like filling up every single night and getting more and more and more while yours get more and more less. Would it be reasonable for you to walk into my room and be like, hey, are you taking my fucking cookies? And if I was like, no, then you'd be like, Bullshit. Look at the evidence.
Well, you know what? You know what I would say to that, Matt? I would say you worked really, really hard for those cookies, and you deserve those cookies because the more cookies you get, the more cookies are going to trickle down into my pocket, and I think that you deserve those, Matt. And I appreciate you. And then for all the hard work you did to get those cookies, and I appreciate the trickle down cookie crumbs that I'm gonna get.
And then I'll be like, hey Max, will you cut the yard? I'll give you half a cookie.
Well, yeah, but then you actually give me half of the inside of the cookie. You don't give me the outside of the cookie. You just give me some of the inside parts. And you keep the parts yourself.
That's what I think they're doing though. But they're hoarding.
But what actually happens is you continue to get all the cookies, and none of those cookie crumbs crumble down to me because you got a vacuum and you get to pick those cookie crumbs back up.
Or no, just not enough to.
Is my analogy hitting that Reaganomics is bullshit?
It is. All right, but I think
let's continue past this. Have we even gotten to the crisis part yet?
We're in the middle. Yeah, we can go move on to the crisis part.
Let's exit this. We've had a long ass conversation on the unraveling, and I appreciate it because the unraveling is important because when all the shit starts to go down. But we're in the crisis. So Matt, what is the crisis?
If we're to believe this theory, we're halfway pretty much into
Right,
a little
because it
over
started
halfway.
in 2008,
And it's going to go to 2028, give or take.
give or take.
Sometime around.
Oh, maybe 2024.
Yeah. I mean, could be.
No, that's my joke about how it was 2004. But
They're usually there's usually going to be some kind of a big conflict, which in our case you could call COVID as part of that, and coupled with. So we go through a financial crisis, 2008. All the rest of the mid 2000s, early 2010s, people are getting really fucked over.
Don't lightly say the financial crisis. It fucked America.
No, it definitely did.
It fucked your dad. It fucked my dad. It fucked everybody, dude. The financial crisis was shit. And at the same time, the people who were rich stayed rich. They didn't get fucked.
They made money on it.
They made money,
Just like
my
people
dude.
have made money during COVID.
God.
That's weird.
All
It's
right.
weird.
That's all I wanted to say. You continue. So what else? We got the 2008 crisis.
The war in Afghanistan has still been going on. We had, obviously, the school shooters continue to happen. There's the
Right.
Boston bombing. There's
Global
the fucking
warming.
Syrian refugee crisis. Yeah, global.
That's been happening.
We haven't even
our
said anything
dude,
about global
warming's
warming.
been happening our entire lives. That's not even a part of the conversation.
Well, it's been happening.
It's at an apex.
It keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
Like it's worse now than it's ever been. Think about all the forest fires we've heard.
Yeah, that was my point. I was gonna say like the crazy
never used to
storms,
hear about
and that
forest fires.
in my mind the crazy storms, the forest fires turned into global warming. But yeah, global warming has been happening. But no, it is. We've had some wild fucking fires the last like 10 to 15 years. Has been pretty freaking crazy.
Well, the thing about history is that it's not you. It's really hard to chop it up into sections. All you can do is look at how it's like the butterfly effect. Every single event affects and leads to another event.
right.
And there are blurred lines. Like something starts, but the effects of it don't happen for like 5 more years. Like shit doesn't just like happen as like boom, it starts exactly on this day and ends on this day. Like no, there was always a lead up.
Yeah,
and the lead up to the lead
segue.
up. It's weird. It's just the passage of time. So it's really hard to.
Yeah.
It changes. It's unpredictable in a lot of ways, but it is
saying.
interesting to analyze. You can find these patterns. It's essentially a pattern that we're looking at.
Fractals.
And humans are really good at identifying patterns, and we're the only animal we know of that actively like records and keeps track of history. Like deer don't fucking give a shit what happened 10 years ago. Like they're just like,
Dude, the animals
I need
keep track of
food.
history in their fucking minds, bro.
I wonder about that.
They're born with the idea to stay away from predators. Instincts are crazy. They obviously don't record.
Yeah, but they're
history.
not like-
that's a farce.
Is
But,
there a
like,
deer country? Is there like
No, yeah,
you know what
I'm saying
Like,
I'm fucking.
Do they have
bullshitting.
political
I'm
allegiances
bullshitting you,
and-
dude. I'm fucking joshing. So
also the two-party political system is more divided than ever.
We are more divided than ever. That's another huge thing is we are very, very divided.
Nobody trusts the media.
But the thing is, it goes
Edward
to
Snowden.
what 2028, and it's supposed to end in some kind of conflict or war. Now here's where it gets theoretical. Where we've gone through the history and we've seen all the craziness happening. We know we're in this turning, if the turning is a true theory, if it exists in reality. What is it, Matt? Like, what do you think's happening? What's your ideals? Call it. Let's call the next, 7 years?
Well, I think it's likely that we'll have another COVID lockdown. We'll probably be dealing with COVID for another. At this point, it looks like there'll be another 2 years.
Let's say COVID. Yeah, COVID's a pandemic that's already happening. That is modern. I'm talking about future.
Hold on, sorry, I had to let the dog out. No, I'm saying, I think in the future there's going to be more
Right.
instances like COVID's going to continue. That's part of the future. I think that.
How long? Give me a date. We're calling the future here. It doesn't have to be right, man.
I don't know. I'm gonna be safe and say 10 years.
Damn. Okay. Where you mean like? Do you think like we're gonna be like mask mandates and quarantines?
Well, I think we'll be talking about it for a long time.
Okay. No. I don't mean talking about it. I mean like when.
Well,
when
you're not letting me
is-
finish. What I'm saying is I think that we're gonna be like having COVID on our mind. There's gonna be random outbreaks of it here, random outbreaks of it here. We're gonna go in and out of lockdown for the next like 2 years, and then it's gonna have an impact on our social. Like,
But the quarantine lockdowns are
rules
over
and-
after 2
rules
years.
and stuff.
That's when like the masks in, the quarantine lockdowns ends is 2 years from now. So 2023. I would agree with that. I would
think-
probably put it 2022.
I think there's going to be a confrontation or some kind, whether it's political or physical, with China. I think that shit's going to come to a head, and it's either going to be some sort of a war, or it's going to be like an economic sanction, or there's going to be like something's going to happen. And if that happens, there's going to be sides drawn around the world, because China has its hand in a lot of shit, just like we have our hands in a lot of shit.
Right.
And
That's what I was saying earlier.
I think it could spark a world war.
Right. We need to have our own manufacture our own shit and bring industry back to America, so that if we ever go to war with any of these big countries, we don't lose 50% of our imports because we're losing allies. We have our own manufacturing companies. Yep. So anyways, continue.
I think that we're either world war or, I mean, I hate to say it, but like I could see some sort of civil unrest. Like I think that the divide, and like, because there are people living in two different Americas right now that you can't ignore anymore. Like there are people that are QAnon believers, and then there are people that are super far the other way, and it's like there's like people don't want to get the vaccines. People think the vaccines are fucking government microchips, and then there are other people that think that fucking everything is like they want communism or socialism. You know what I mean? Like it's like
right.
And there, I think that could come to a head too. I think we could see. And a lot of it is like rural versus big city areas. Like I could see like the rural people deciding like, well, we're not going to send you any more fucking food because we make all the food out here.
I don't see that happening, because then we provide them with money, clothes, culture. Nah, but close that door, motherfucker.
I mean, a lot of people reject that though.
Oh, but I don't see. Okay, so here are my predictions. So I have a few. Not like I'm not going to call anything too specific, but
wait, before you do that, can I pee?
And we're back now.
We are back now.
Take
Sorry,
three. We're back. We're here. Okay, cool. So I think we ended, Matt, you ended your predictions, or at least got through enough of them to where I was comfortable with the predictions. And I was too antsy. I wanted to get to mine. But I forgot Brexit. I forgot we wanted to say that too. It was like fucking Brexit happened. That's part of the crisis. And just like basically the unraveling of the, I guess it was the European Union. And like that's...
Yeah, did England... Is that still a thing? Are they still not in the European Union?
They are seeing the Dude, they are reaping what they sowed at this point. They are literally so many reports coming out of England that people are like, oh, I didn't know, people living in Spain who are English all of a sudden lost their visas because like, oh, well, you're not a part of the European Union. You can't just travel over the borders. You're going to have to either move back or become a citizen of Spain. And so tons of these like rich Europeans who voted for Brexit were like, oh, I had my summer house in Spain. That's not an English accent.
Wow.
But, a lot of shit. So it's just shit like that. I mean, like fishermen are like seeing like hardships because they can't trade. And it's like, well, we had free trade before, but like, well, you're not in the union anymore. Like what? You expected this to be free? And they're like, well, yeah, I voted for it because I thought we had freedom. Nah, bro. So they're seeing the effects of it right now. A lot of other stories too. But okay, so we're going to go into my predictions. So we are halfway through our turning. It's called a turning, right? Yeah, our 20-year turning. Got 7 years left.
Our era.
Here are my predictions. I got like 3 or 4. I'm going to start with COVID because that's what you started with. I do believe that COVID's going to be another thing for about another year. I think that we might potentially see one more quarantine. We might see one more like 2-week work from home. We might see one more or maybe 2 or 3 more stimulus checks, but I don't expect them unless another quarantine happens. I don't expect another stimulus check. But COVID is probably going to fall by the wayside. I mean, some people might wear masks, but I feel like by and by, everyone's going to get vaccinated, and it's going to fall by the wayside within a year. So that's kind of like, whatever. COVID's not my biggest worry. It came, and it's going to go soon, within a year. I could be wrong. And it's like you said, when you said like, yo, there's going to be like spikes of COVID in like random cities at random times. Like it's going to be one of those things that's going to be around for a while. But it's not going to be as widespread. We're going to start containing it. We're going to start holding it back to where it's not going to be as widespread and as like prevalent as it is now. It's just going to be like tiny spurts, like every 2 or 3 years maybe. And that happens. That happens with any disease that you see.
Right, but we've really like reacted to COVID. Just the word COVID itself carries a lot of more weight than just the word flu or cold or
but so did
bronchitis.
So did polio.
Yeah, no, it's another polio, but.
It's not as bad. It's post-term as polio, but at the same time, it is much more contagious, I believe, than polio.
It is very contagious.
It is, the death rate is higher than the regular flu. So it's not one of those things where people are like, oh, nobody's dying. Like, yeah, but it's more contagious and slightly more deadly than the flu.
Well,
we
here's
always
what
get
I
a flu
think.
shot. Okay, well, let me finish my predictions.
Okay.
And then you can go back into your edited predictions. Okay, so that is one thing. So my next thing is about war. I believe there's a lot going on right now with the concentration camps with the Uyghurs, or however you pronounce it, in China.
Uyghur.
The Uyghurs. Wow, that was way off. I'm reading
Uyghurs?
shit. It's like Uighar or some bull fucking shit.
It is spelled interesting.
It's spelled interesting. I'm like, Uyghurs. I'm sorry that I'm a fucking idiot and I read shit and I don't really watch the videos on it, I guess, because it's hard for me to watch shit like that. But I like to read the articles on it, and it's absolutely depressing and it's terrible. And I believe that that's going to come to a head at some point. But there's also and now this is another thing that's been called out for 20, 30 years, 40, fucking 50, 60 years. The Palestinian-Israeli conflict is coming to a head. It used to be a thing where, like, obviously it's been a thing for a long time, but we're coming to a point where we live in the internet society where everybody sees everything you do. And you can't be a hateful society unless you have a total blackout like China. China gets away with it because they're so big and they have a blackout. And so does North Korea, and like Russia tries to do the same thing. And it's basically one of those things where we are seeing from the Palestinians that it's tough out there. And I believe that the UN is going to try and do something in the next few years. And we have two options. Either the United States backs the UN and we move in on Israel and we shut them down from at least terrorizing and creating terrorists. Because while, I mean, we're not getting into the politics of it, but I do believe that there's going to be some kind of apex between Palestine and Israel, or whatever the people who live in Israel right now. I don't know what you want to fucking call them. Israelis? Yeah. I don't know, man. But there's going to be some apex on that. There's going to be some apex on the Chinese people with the UN and the Uyghurs.
And Taiwan, too.
And Taiwan. And I also believe China is moving quickly to arm itself and move, I would say strategically, to threaten places. Like, they did some kind of movement on the United States. I don't remember what, but they like did some really quick military gathering on their naval vessels like 8 months ago. We had a quick conversation on it, you and I did, but it wasn't, it was just like a showing of arms, and then they like moved on. It was because the United States did a showing of arms, and the China was like, oh, well, look at us too. But then they also moved on. I think it was, how do you say it, Myanmar, that's how it is, dude. I always say it wrong, that's why I had to ask. But they had some kind of naval movement on them and then backed off immediately. But they're doing that, they're trying to like buck up and say, hey, we're big, don't fuck with us, because they want to show something. But I believe that one of those two things is going to happen. Is going to buckle.
You don't do shit like that in times of peace, dude.
No, yeah.
It's a scary thing.
Exactly. And they're saying like, hey, you better fucking keep your head up, because we're going to fuck with you. If you come with us, we're going to fuck with you. And they're starting to move towards militarization, and it's scary. But so one of those two things are happening. It's either going to be the unrest in the Middle East with the Palestinians and the Israelis, and everyone has to take a side. Everybody has to take a side in that one, basically, because everybody has ties with Israel, or you have a feeling and you don't want an entire society of Palestinians to be wiped out. So it's like, oh shit, we have deep connections with it. We're not getting into the politics of it. That's one thing, or the Chinese thing. So those are the wars. One of those two things will happen within the next 10 years. My last prediction is with cryptocurrencies. We are in currently a dip. Cryptocurrencies are fairly new. What is it, 20 years maybe less than that.
I think Bitcoin was in like 2010 or something.
I think it was 2009.
2009?
Yeah, because it's 2008, 2009-ish area. 2010, yeah, somewhere in that area. So cryptocurrencies are new. We've gone through a bit of a bubble. Oh, here's another one. There's going to be another housing crisis. I believe there's a housing crisis in the next 5 years. So this one is... I don't know. I think this one's probably not my most accurate, is that there's going to be another housing bubble pop. It's going to suck, but the cryptocurrency. So this is another one. So we are in kind of a dip right now. So we've had a huge boom in the last like year or two, because everybody's like discovering cryptocurrencies. They're becoming mainstream. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, and Elon Musk like tweeting about it. And so like, oh, everybody knows about crypto now. So we had a big boom, and then we're in a very big dip right now. Cryptocurrencies are down a lot. A lot of people have lost a lot of money. Now, I believe they're going to go back up. I could be wrong. but I do think they're going to go up over the next probably like 5 or 6, maybe 7 years. But we are going to see a huge crash. And this might be like this is my prediction for like the apex of the turning into the next high, where it's the crisis. It's the thing, like the big thing, the shit hits the fan, where I think crypto is going to take a huge turn up. People are going to get like a lot of fucking money. And then there's going to be some kind of, not a rug pull, but like something happens.
Oh my God. A worldwide rug
pull where they're like cryptocurrencies are like, I don't know. And I feel like the crypto market is going to fall and it's going to cause a like huge like depression within the next like 6 or 7 years.
Well, dude, here's the weird thought. It's going to be like oil.
Bam. That's my own prediction.
Huh?
Call me on it.
That's your other oil?
Those are my predictions.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. That's the end of my predictions. I think there's going to be a housing crisis. I think the cryptocurrency is going to go up and then crash. That's probably going to be in like the end of it. That's probably going to be like 2030. And I believe that either the war with the Uyghurs or the Israeli-Palestine conflict is going to happen within the next 10 years.
I think that talking about war, I want to touch on the Bitcoin because I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't even think about that. But as far as like the war side of it, it does seem like there are a lot of powder kegs around the world that are ready to blow up, which is exactly how it was before the First and Second World War. It's always these points of like stress reaching a breaking point around the world. Like whether it's with, like now it would be like the UK and is pissed off at the European Union and vice versa. We have Israel versus Palestine. We have China trying to take over Taiwan. We also have like Russia with like fucking with us with the bots and shit and the like bot farm weird like social media pages trying to stir up civil unrest and shit, like all the shit that they've been finding about these like social media farm Russian bot places. All these countries are mad and fucking with each other like around the world. And maybe I guess it's always kind of been like that a little bit, but like it seems like what has led to world wars is all of those things coalescing and breaking pretty much simultaneously, or in a domino effect, where like one country's relationship with another country affects the relationship of another country, and like before you know it, everybody's fucking fighting each other and they're picking sides and shit.
The thing is, we're gonna have to pick sides.
Yeah.
Everybody's in the UN, everybody's in the EU, and everybody's like, yeah, we're all here together. But when the shit hits the fucking fan, you're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit into a turd. And when that turd hits the fan, that shit's gonna go fucking everywhere. You may not end up with the other piece of turd you were with earlier because the shit hit the fan and broke you up. You're gonna have to pick a fucking side. That's a terrible analogy, dude. I don't know why I went there, but you will have to pick a side. We're gonna have to pick sides.
If it gets to that,
it's if it gets to that, and I believe that China's on the move. But I also believe that in the recent months, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has grown tighter and tighter. And freaking Netanyahu's out of there, motherfucker. I'm so fucking happy for that. Bye, bitch. Anyways, predictions, Matt. Do you want to edit your predictions? I also want to say these are off the top of our heads. I did have a good 2-minute pee break to think about mine, but Matt's were definitely off the top of his head.
I just think that if this is to be believed, and if this is like really like an applicable thing, assuming all that, I do think that we're gonna have the conditions for a lot of shit that's similar to shit that's happened in the past. Now the kicker is what are we gonna do about it? You know what I mean? And it's like world wars breaking out. I probably don't have that much of an effect on, but I can be nice to my neighbor, like we were talking about earlier, and I can be like. I can just try to live in a positive way and not hurt anybody and try to help as many people as I can, how I'm able to, whether that's like as small as that may be. Like I'll just like do your part to like kind of try to make the world a better place and try to get through this and like understand that crises do fucking happen, dude. And it's, you know,
they will happen.
We've already gone through some shit
of so many crises.
We could go through a lot of shit, dude. And I mean, think about what we've gone through this year. We've seen the power grids fail We've seen
twice in Texas.
shortages of gas, shortages of food. There was a fucking toilet paper
Dude,
shortage.
the fucking hacking of the pipeline.
Yeah.
That happened a month and a half ago. I forgot
it feels
all
like
about
old
that.
news.
I feel, God, that was
what
like
else is new?
2005 to me, dude. A pipeline got hacked 3 months
Isn't
ago.
that nuts? When's the last
Our
time that
gas
shit's
prices went to
happened?
$4. What the fuck is up?
Things are fucking ramping up. Because
It's
think
the
about when you were a
crisis,
kid,
bro.
dude. When I was a kid, I wasn't like watching the news constantly, but I was aware of what was going on in the
I
world
was
for the most
unfucking
part.
aware, dude. I was an oblivious child. I was living in the country, running around barefoot with freaking coarse feet. I loved it, dude. I was eating raw corn. You know how much shit I would make with raw corn?
That's kind of wild, dude.
No, honestly, I did have a more reclusive country lifestyle, but at the
No,
same
I hear
time,
you.
I get it. You kind of grew up more.
Well,
in the
I
city.
wasn't like, I wasn't like
You in the
all
suburbs.
about it, but I was like, I knew that there was a housing crisis, and I would hear about.
I
Like,
didn't know about that till I was in high school.
well, that's when it happened. It was like a year before I went to high
Oh
school.
yeah. I guess you're right. I guess it was like senior year. They were like talking about it. I was like,
All the big things I knew, like I saw, like I lived through. I remember swine flu. I remember
oh hell
Occupy
yeah,
Wall
dude.
Street.
Like 2 of my friends got swine flu.
I didn't understand. I got it. It was terrible. I didn't really understand at the time what Occupy Wall Street was, but I remember hearing about it. I remember hearing
Bro,
about
that's another one too. Fucking Occupy, and it's gonna happen again, dude. Fucking apes, diamond hands.
the bombing, the
It's gonna
bombing
happen
of
again.
the Boston Marathon bombing.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember hearing
all
about
this
that.
crazy
So
shit.
like, I can remember things happening in the past. It seems like there's more shit happening on a monthly basis than I can remember in the past like 5 years. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
but I mean, at the same time, we do have better recognition than we did.
No,
back
there's a significant change
There
in
is
the shit
definitely
that's been happening.
shit's happening on rampant right now. You're right. You're right. You're right.
There wasn't
I
always
I always
hacking.
want to say like, oh, I don't remember it being this bad. And you look back in the news, like, okay, it kind of was always bad. But at the same time, shit's getting pretty bad.
Well,
Shit's getting pretty bad.
we've seen unprecedented things happen, like the
Yeah.
gas line, the pipeline
Yes,
getting hacked.
and a pandemic. Well, I mean, that's not.
Oh, but dude, we've never like
America's
the
never gonna
lockdown.
shut down like this. Yeah,
That was an unprecedented event.
that was unprecedented.
Also the fucking
The insurrection and
Oh, yeah, January
We didn't
6th.
talk about that either. That was crazy.
shit is coming to a
It's
head,
crazy.
and
On
this
both
is what.
sides of like the aisle too. So
Of course, well, that's what I'm saying. When we
talked
live
about,
in
what was it, the Chaz?
the political divide in this country has gotten so stark to where, excuse me, you literally have large movements of people. Like, we're not talking about small groups of people. Like, these are like a lot of people that think in certain terms to where like you literally can have thousands of people that believe one fact to be true or believe one narrative to be true, and then you have another group of people, just as many,
absolutely
who believe the fucking
not
opposite.
even just believe, but like absolutely wholeheartedly, like this is
Like
our
a
lives.
religion.
This is what is true. I know the truth. It's just wild.
Politics has turned into religion.
Yes, 100%. Politics has turned into
That's
religion
a
where
new
you
thing.
turn your life to like, and I felt it happen to me too, where I'm like, pfft, like the other side. And it's like, no, dude, don't be like that. Like they have their own logical reasons for believing what they believe. I do too. Don't
You
just
have to
like
question
sell
everything.
yourself. But that's why I like to think that like if a candidate on my side was so bad, I would probably vote for the other candidate. But I don't know. I haven't been put in that situation before because I fucking hardly ever vote because all the candidates suck on both sides.
Well, what we need is more bipartisanship in
Very-
every
very
aspect
true.
of our life. We need a bipartisan, or we need a nonpartisan media. The media is the biggest fucking culprit of that shit because that's how they make their fucking money. People don't understand that they make they don't care what's right and wrong. All they care about, because they're a fucking corporation, is the dollars. And so what makes them more
Yeah.
dollars? Keeping you watching
Yeah.
their show.
Yeah,
When do you
that's
watch their
true.
show? When
This
you
is-
think the world's falling apart.
is all
because
true.
and you have somebody to blame. That's their business model. It's a good show. Why do you watch fucking Peaky Blinders? Because there's always a problem. There's always a problem that Tommy Shelby's got to fucking
Oi.
fix.
Oi.
When you watch partisan media,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
you're Thomas Shelby. They're talking to you. They're like, look at what these people are doing. Go
God.
after these people, and that's how they keep us fucking divided.
I know,
and that's how the
man.
powers that be. Going back to
know.
inflation and the wealth gap, we have all these people that are sucking the wealth out of society that Is it any coincidence that they own fucking everything? BlackRock, dude. BlackRock owns the media. BlackRock owns the fucking real estate companies that are buying these fucking houses. They own the fucking financial market. They own everything.
You've gone down the black hole.
What I'm saying is this is a symptom of the crisis. We know this shit now.
You're right. No,
we can see it. It's gotten more ridiculous. Like it keeps getting ridiculous.
You've brought it all way back to home. It is about the crisis. It's getting ridiculous.
This is part of it.
It's part of it. And I feel like the internet's part of it too, is because we're all learning that it's all happening. And I've always wanted to say, like, no, the internet's going to save the world. The internet will bring us connected.
You know
it'll
when the
make
internet
it better.
happened? In the unraveling.
Oh, fuck.
Actually, it might have been the awakening. I feel like it might have.
Yeah, the internet was a little bit later because Al Gore made the internet, right?
Well, the awakening is
Didn't
before
Al
the
Gore
unraveling.
make the internet?
I don't know.
No, he claimed that one time.
I feel like that's not true. Yeah.
No, he claimed he was like, yeah.
I think it was made by the military.
When I made the internet, yeah, it was. He was like working with a task force or something. I don't know this whole story, but like he was part of a corporation that put the okay into making the internet, and then he like had a speech where he was like, when I created the internet, and it was like, whoa. And I hope I'm getting that right. I hope it's Al Gore, because if I'm talking politics,
That sounds like something Trump would say, dude. Honestly,
it honestly does. Oh my god. Oh, we're unraveled.
I created the internet. Everybody knows it. Well, that was my idea. The guy stole it. It's okay. I'm still being a.
That's a pretty good Trump impersonation, bro.
Dude, that guy is fucking out of control.
We
I'm
love
straight for him to go away, dude. Like, tired of hearing about fucking Trump, dude. Like,
I
let
just
it
honestly,
fucking
the
go.
Clintons and the Trumps, I just wish they were gone. Just
We
like,
have got
let them
all of them,
die
dude.
off. Like,
All of
I don't
them.
want them to, but like at the same time, just go away.
Dude, all these political families that have
Die
been running
off.
shit for so long, and their sons and daughters have been running shit for so long. What have they done to make the world better? They've made it fucking worse. Nobody trusts them, dude.
Yeah.
That's one thing what most people can agree on
Right.
is that they don't fucking trust them.
No,
dude.
we don't. We don't trust the government. I feel like we keep straying into this like anti-government
talking.
political, but at the same time, we need to keep on the crisis, bro. We're almost
It's part
done
of
here.
it, dude. This is all part of this.
I know it's part of it. I know it's part of it. But let's end on this. We're at about an hour. We're a little over an hour 15. Let's on to this. I wanted to end on the predictions. We got way off on the predictions.
Well, okay, to bring it back to the predictions.
Bring it back to the predictions. I know. We've been on to shit, but here's the thing: is we could do this all night, and we could go so deep into how fucked the government is, which is what you started on the cusp of, and I'm like, I gotta stop you before you get too deep into it.
Well, to not
because
go
there's
too
lots
deep.
of stuff. Because we can talk about the next time I come over, we can continue the same conversation.
Sure.
And go a little bit deeper, but we're almost done here.
What I wanted to say then, I guess, in closing, is that I think it is interesting to think about. I think there's a lot of evidence that points to this theory having some credence or relevancy to where we're at and what it's like to experience things. But what I would want to say is that if it's true, we have to fucking understand what's coming and try to be as ready as we can and try not to get swept up into any type of violence or fucking like just keep it together. Look out for your people, dude.
Know yourself.
Help yourself.
Yes.
Help yourself.
Know yourself and help those that are close to you. Love everybody. Here's what I want to say. Like Matt said, if this is true, if this is going to happen, we are heading into a tumultuous time in our lives. One big thing that I want to put out to everybody is take care of your mental health. That's very important because I know that during COVID and quarantine, a lot of people, their mental health has declined a lot. And a lot of people don't want to go out and look for help. But if you need it, get it. It's important. Everybody has somebody in their life that loves you. So just know that if things get bad, not when, but if things do end up getting bad and things get worse from here, take care of yourself. You know, if you are unhappy, find help. So that's my biggest thing is if things end up getting worse from here, take care of yourselves first, okay? And not yourselves first, like, oh, fuck everybody else, but take care of your head first, okay? I love you all. I appreciate you listening. Matt, I'm sorry I cut you off from the rabbit hole.
Well, I think what I can take solace in is that, like, you know, all this stuff seems so important. And it is a mind-blowing thing to think about how you can map out history in these different eras and see these patterns and things like that. But what you have to avoid and what freaks me out the most about this is that I feel like I'm like, shit, now that I know what do I do when it's like
Right,
you can't like
right.
you're like take solace in the fact that your life and the existence that you're experiencing right now is number one temporary and number two like kind of insignificant in the grand scheme of things. You can't change anything. Don't try to don't put that burden on yourself of like.
I mean, yeah. So
Well, what I'm saying is,
I
is
mean, I
like
get what you're saying. Ignorance is bliss.
it's not like ignorance.
The less
is
you know, no, I mean, but no, for real. The less you know about the truth, the happier you are. Because if you know the truth, you're like, "Fuck, shit sucks," and I'm part of the system. I'm a cog, you know. So I feel like ignorance to the ideal, like the reality, is bliss. Man.
I'm not saying be a cog in a system. I'm just saying
not either.
Take it just. You don't have to take it so seriously,
salt,
dude.
Man, like there's like you don't burn yourself so much. I mean, I'm on both sides because it's like, yeah, I'm a cog in the system, but at the same time, take that reality. Don't burn yourself. Live your life to be happy with what you want to do. Things are going to be okay.
I think you just have to have a set of values and stick to them. Stick to your guns.
Yeah.
And but also,
well, I don't know.
Talk to people and make sure that you're on the right
Stick
path.
to your guns as long as you're not hurting other people. Because if some fucking KK guy here goes, oh, stick to my guns. Oh, I'm gonna stay a racist
right now.
Well, he doesn't know that. I'm gonna tell him right now. Hey, racist KKK guy, we're not talking to you. Don't stick to your guns. Everybody else. I mean, not everybody else. Most everybody else. All right. Anybody who's similar to the KKK guy.
I was just talking to just reasonable people.
All right.
That we all know.
Hey, reasonable
most people are fucking
stick
reasonable.
To your guns. Know yourself. Be true. Love your neighbor.
I think a lot of people don't want any type of conflict, dude.
Booyakasha.
And you have to remember that.
Let's do this, Matt. I love you. I love the earth. Amen.
All right. Good night.
Good night, everybody.